Hello, welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. Hope you're well. Don't forget, if you're watching this, there's a bunch of descriptions below the video, and you need to click on the one that says join Mark's email list. That's the most important one. The other ones are there for you to look at. If you're watching this on Rumble, please subscribe, because I've banned off YouTube at the moment. Please click that subscribe button. If you're watching it on BitChute, please subscribe to that channel as well. And please also join the Telegram channel, because that's where the daily chat happens. If you have been on Telegram today, you'll have seen that I've had to stand up for my rights over the extortion that is happening in Ireland at the moment, over receiving a parcel from the United States, which I paid for. I paid UPS to deliver it, and they turned up with a ticket saying you have to pay £100 before you have this parcel. And I said, not only is that robbery, it's also extortion, and it is blackmail. And the guy then foolishly put the parcel down, so I just took it off him and then said, sorry, but this is mine, bye-bye. And then he called the guards, and I had an adrenaline fueled hour with the guards, and I was shaking. It's not comfortable talking to the police when they come to your house and you haven't done anything wrong, but I did explain it to them, and they ended up going away, and so did the driver. And there's a lesson in that for everybody, because every time we do that now, those guards are going to go away and discuss it, and so is that driver with his colleagues. And hopefully they'll come to the conclusion that they're supporting a racket. And maybe one or two of them will wake up. Now, I've bought some books here just to show you kind of reading that I do. This is Remote Viewing by Tim Rifat. Very interesting man. Look him up. Remote Viewing. He teaches you how to do it as well. I've done it a few times myself. The Art of Dreaming, Carlos Castaneda. Interesting story about Carlos. I once went to see John Perkins do a live talk in Manchester, England. He's the guy who wrote the Confessions of an Economic Hitman, because in the early 70s, he was recruited from university to go and help bring down third world countries for the CIA. And a week after meeting him, a Carlos Castaneda book turned up in the post. Anonymously. I'm pretty sure it was him. This isn't that copy, but he's worth looking into. Gravitic Systems by Thomas Vallone. Very interesting. How do UFOs actually fly? The ones that we've been developing for the last God knows how long. So, interesting times all around. Now, if you watched one of my recent shows, you'll have seen me do a joke about this thing in the back of my head, which is where I unplugged from the Matrix. What this actually is what I want to talk about today. But don't watch this if you have a problem with technology and health. I'm sure most of you don't have a problem with that, and you'd be interested in hearing about it, because this is actually a product called LifeWave X39. Now, I'm skeptical about these things, which is why I've been wearing this for a couple of months so that I can give you an honest opinion about it. But I thought it'd be a good idea to bring on some people that know even more about it than me, with a bit of expertise and background that's greater than mine. So please welcome Dr. John Harmon. Hello, John.
Hi, Mark.
And Cheryl Diamond Murray. Hello, Cheryl.
Hey, Mark.
Good to see you both. Thanks for coming along. What is LifeWave? Who wants to go first?
I don't mind going first.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, John.
Let's not fight over this.
No, I've had enough fighting today.
Yeah, no kidding.
I think she's going to consent that I go first. LifeWave is a company that's based on treating the body with frequencies our bodies are already making and emitting into our surrounding. The inventor of the patches figured out, first of all, what those frequencies are. What could I do with those different frequencies if I could get them back into the body? And then how do I do that? How do I get those back into the body concentrated and isolated? That's the company in a nutshell. We have frequency patches or photobiomodulation patches.
Yeah, and he came up with those about 20 years ago, didn't he?
Mm.
He did. Yeah, first patch was actually, he was commissioned by the U.S. Navy to come up with a patch that increases energy in Navy SEALs in long missions in submarines.
So it's a kind of a super soldier patch.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, but our U.S. Olympic swim teams used them in 2004 with Michael Phelps to win all those medals and got accused of doping, which they weren't, and they were proven not to be.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that story.
Yeah, that was his first patch. That was the one that he invented for the Navy, which actually the mechanism is fascinating. He figured out how to turn on what's called beta oxidation, which is fat burning for energy. So it actually causes our bodies to burn 300 to 600 calories more per day in fat burning for energy. So you just get a sustained amount of energy without taking any stimulants.
Wow. I'm going to wear 5.
More than one you don't need.
Oh, okay.
More isn't better. You're not a man. Remember that. Men thinks more is better.
That's true.
I've spoken to Cheryl before. She does think like that. We'll go into more of the technology, but I just want to give a bit of background, John, because you started out in chiropractic, and you had a life-changing event that got you going down the same sort of road that I've gone down, where you're looking into technology and health and the way that the body really works, because you were let down by the allopathic system, right?
Yes, I was. I did. I started out in chiropractic. I expanded out into oxidative medicine, got certified in oxidative medicine. That's the use of ozone and oxygen for healing and frequencies. And we did IV therapy and those things. And then we had some pretty bad life-changing events. My 18-year-old niece committed suicide in March of 2010. And then March of 2011, my oldest daughter's husband was murdered. Ironically, last Friday, there was a company, First Look TV came out from England last Friday and did an interview of my daughter and myself. They're going to do an episode on A&E. It's been a lot of places, but so that caused a major shift in my focus because my younger daughters were left with anxiety, depression, and insomnia, and we couldn't get any answers or help with counseling or prescription drugs. So I went and got board certified in reading QEEGs on the brain. That's electrical activity, what it is, what it means, what to do about it, and functional neurology. And now I have a place called Clear Mind Center of Idaho in Boise, Idaho area. So that's what I do. And when the patches came along, it was in the end of March 2020. And my clinic was closed. And I thought, well, I got a couple of months. I'm going to, first of all, learn about these patches. How do they work? Does it make any sense? How would wearing a patch on your body elevate my stem cells? I'd had stem cell injections before. My cost on them as a doctor was $2,500 for one. And it was a colleague of mine who basically just ordered the stem cells and then injected them into my knee. There was too much inflammation, so it didn't work. So that it was a waste of $2,500. And that's why stem cell injections may not work. It's when there's too much inflammation, the stem cells die, like a moth to a flame instead of a moth to a light. They're attracted to inflammation, but if it's too great, they'll die. And I'll compare and contrast that with elevating your own stem cells in just a second. But a friend of mine called me and said, what do you know about stem cells? And I knew quite a bit being in this, medical industry. I work with medical doctors and naturopaths and a lot of nurses. And yeah, I know what stem cells are. But he said, what if you could elevate your own by wearing a patch? And I kind of went into a little cognitive dissonance there for a second. How does that work? It's got to be a transdermal patch, right? Something comes from the patch into the body. Well, that turned out to not be the case. So I want to explain just how they work. I mentioned that he figured out what are those frequencies when you look through night vision goggles. You see something. It's a signature of what's called your bioluminescence. Researchers have figured out we humans actually glow. Our eyes can't see it, but instrumentation can see it.
Some people can.
What's that?
Some people can see it.
My daughter
can.
Yeah, my daughter can. We thought she was crazy when she was little. But, the poor thing. And then she would go around telling people, and I say, honey, people
don't do that.
Probably go easy on that, go slow. Start with the low. And so I mentioned that he figured that out. What are they? And then also figured out which ones could be used. And then each patch, and there are several, has a different combination of different amino acids, salts, stabilized oxygen in a different ratio. And you have to think about this. If you go into a jewelry store and you go up to the diamond, where all the diamond rings are and everything, you're seeing there's orange, there's pink, there's different colors, green, blue. What is that? Well, the light is getting diffracted out and reflected, and we can see it as different colors. Well, each patch has a different crystal lattice structure. It's a new type of crystal that he's invented for each patch that only will reflect back the frequency needed to turn on this different pathway. So his first patch I mentioned was energy enhancer. It signals our mitochondria in our cells to burn more fat. So he figured out what light frequency turns beta oxidation on, fat burning. That was the first one. Many patches go by or come into the stable, so to speak. And then about 2018, he figured out how to elevate a specific peptide. And I encourage you to go to the doctor's website who actually discovered the peptide that I'm going to tell you about. It's called the Ghk Copper Peptide. His website is called, the name implies what it does, Reverse Aging with ghk.com. You will see 6 categories. Only one of them is that it elevates stem cells. There's another one that says it's the most important bioactive compound for the treatment of human metastatic colon cancer. It's also very good for COPD. That it's this peptide. I won't go into detail. You can look it up, but that peptide is what the X39 stem cell activation patch signals your body to make more of. So then you have more Ghk copper peptide in your bloodstream. It signals your body's stem cell factory to turn back on. And because when you get to be my age, I'm going to be 70 in a couple of years.
What?
Yeah, I just turned 68 last week.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I was looking at you earlier thinking, what is he?
I've been using these patches for 2 years, and I'm telling you, I feel at least 15 years younger. And once I tell you what happened in my heart, there should be no doubt about what these patches can do. The cardiologist said he's never seen what I had ever go away in anybody, and he's almost ready to retire. I'll tell you about that.
Well, John, I was looking at you earlier thinking, he's what? He must be 50, 55, 56.
I love you, Mark.
No, 68.
Should I say that in my Bill Clinton voice?
No, not Bill.
No.
I love you, Marky.
Don't do your Bill.
That's too scary.
I sometimes in my former practice, we had walkie-talkies, and when I knew patients were down to the front, I would either do Bill Clinton or Hannibal Lecter.
Oh.
And get a rise out of it. It was worse with Bill Clinton, though.
Yeah.
So this Ghk copper peptide, that website that you opened up, one category is stem cells. Mm-hmm. All of the things on that website are potentially happening in your body when you wear that patch. This is why my cardiovascular system, things went away I didn't even know I had when I first started wearing the patches. I didn't know I had a right bundle branch block. I knew I had PVCs, preventricular contractions, but the only reason I found out I had a right bundle branch block is because I was going in I was a crazy skier and my knee was bone on bone. And that's why I had the stem cell injections. And they made me go do a stress cardio, EKG, stress echo, I should say. And the cardiologist said, you got this right bundle branch block and you got these PVCs. Fast forward a year and a half, I'd been using the patches for a year and a half. And I had a root canal go bad and needed another surgery. So they made me go do another one of those tests. For that cardiologist report to say, right bundle branch block no longer present is not life-changing seems not enough to talk about, because all-cause mortality goes up when you have one of those. I don't have it anymore. I run up the hills behind our neighborhood now And I used to get so winded. I go, what is wrong with me? My legs were swelling up a little bit, and they don't do that. So enough about me. But I just want you to know why I'm so passionate about sharing these with people, our patients, because of the effects that are on Dr. Lauren Picard's website, Reverse Aging. One of them has to do with brains. This is what we treat in my office. There was a brain study done that showed after 6 weeks, everybody had better cognition and less hypercoherence. Hypercoherence, the more you have of that, the more autistic a person is. The patch, that Ghk Copper Peptide, caused the brains to change over a 6-week period.
Yeah.
That checked another box for me. So you put the patch on, it starts reflecting a specific frequency into you that then elevates your Ghk Copper Peptide, which then turns on your stem cell factory. That's the mechanism.
Well, I learned about peptides maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I went and bought a load of stuff, and it came in the post, and I was like, oh God, I'm going to inject this stuff. And it was like $500 for a small thing like this. And
Yes.
I hate needles. So I gave them to my friend.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a medical doctor in the clinic where I'm located who does peptide infusions. They're very expensive. And one of the peptides that he does is the peptide that gets elevated when we wear the Alavita patch. It's called the Fountain of Youth peptide. You can look this up. It's called, the synthetic form that they use in the IV is called epithalone or epitalone. But there's a lot of research about it. And it does what its name implies, Fountain of Youth peptide. It smooths skin, decreases wrinkles. It caused old male rats to act like young male rats, if you know what I mean. Helped reverse cholesterol problems, increase the length. There was a study done on humans, and it increased the life expectancy of these people in that study.
Increased length of the telomere. Did it increase the telomere length?
It does. It lengthens the telomeres. So it signals your body to make more telomerase, which repairs the telomeres endings. Yeah. So what happens when you do that? If each cell can live and divide 30 to 35% more times, you start to win the battle between cell death and cells that live. And now I can focus on reverse aging rather than having to replace all these cells that are dying off. So increasing the length of your telomeres is a huge deal. And that's what that other patch, that Alavita patch, does.
Yeah, I mean, I learned about telomeres about 10 years ago, and I've tried all sorts of supplements for that and different enzymes and stuff like that, which is
well, who wouldn't, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I look at some of my friends my age, and I'm like, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, you're doing okay.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to my 50-year high school reunion in next month, and I'm seeing some of my classmates, and they look like they could be my dad.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
I mean,
you know, I take this. You know, I've abused my body a lot over the years. I've smoked a lot. I've drunk a lot. I've done lots of naughty things, but I'm still here. And I had a checkup I think it was last year or 2 years ago, and the doctor went, "Yeah, perfect." I said, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Perfect." because I've done so much to counterbalance. That's why I'm always interested in things like this, because you know, they're not mainstream. It's not ever going to be seen on TV. You know, products like this go against the narrative of what the mainstream narrative is.
Correct.
So that's why I'm so interested in it. But I do know there's a lot of skepticism about these sort of things, which is why I want you guys on. But, you know, just anecdotally, I've been wearing them for a couple of months. Now, I'm going to say to the audience, there's a couple of things. Your diet is massively important in the way that you are, which is why the Maximize the Light course is really good.
Yes.
But these other things, you'll like that course, John. I'll send you a link to it.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's a course that I did as a challenge with one of my friends who's a healer, who's basically brings people back from the brink of death for the last 20 years. And we put it out to the public, and it's a protocol. It's been amazing in this healing stuff. But we all need as much help as we can possibly get. I mean, if you're over 50 watching this, 60 years old, then, you know, you've got 40, 50 years of toxin buildup, you know, and that's the big hurdle, is getting over that, you know, initially when you start anything that's different to mainstream diet, mainstream health, is that you start to your body is, your body's always detoxing, but what happens if you start eating right, you're exercising right, and you're doing things like this, is that the body then goes, whoa, quick, get rid of it, because we've now got time to get rid of it, right? Because I was explaining this to my kids the other day. Fat is not calories. Fat is not fat. Fat is what the body does when it's got too many toxins that it can't cope with it, so it stores it in the fat cells until later. You know, so that's all the big con of the diet industry and everything else, which is why this anti-aging, reversing age thing it makes complete sense, because if you allow the body to work better, that's what it will do.
Yeah.
So, sorry, John.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, Mark.
So I was just taking a breath.
Oh,
for the audience.
Yes, to breathe.
So a real good way of looking at that is it's not. Let's say that you have, there's a view lot. It's the best view in the entire city or in surroundings, but there's a 100-year-old house on it. So you have no intention of living in that house. When you increase your stem cells, they're like the demolition crew. They say, holy cow, I got enough to fix stuff, tear that down, tear out that foundation. Hey, and then let's build a foundation. So yes, initially, especially if there are any hiccups in what I call the drainage funnel, the bottom of the funnel is the bowel, and then the kidneys, and then the gallbladder, liver, and then the lymphatic system, and then the skin. So if you have any blockages in any of those, if you're not eliminating at least twice a day, if your kidneys have a little, you know, if they're a little sluggish, or your gallbladder, things may bake back up. So it's really important to pay close attention to that. Make sure that you're getting proper mineralization. Everyone should be supplementing with magnesium.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the patch is stimulating your body to make more Ghk Copper Peptide. So you want to have a good source of copper, and that would be chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, you can't overdose, you know, take 3 droppers full, take that. Now your body's going to have ample copper to make that Ghk Copper Peptide, and then drink lots of water. Make sure the bowels are emptying a couple of times a day, and then your body will start fixing things. And I tell people, you should consider using them 1 month for every decade of your life to get deep regeneration. And that actually held true for me. This right bundle branch block, I didn't even know I had it at first, but then somewhere between that 5-month period after I started wearing the patches and then 2 years, that went away, because that's when I had the test. I didn't know when it was actually healed. And then at the first of the season this year, when we started doing our walks up that hill, I said to my wife, this feels really, really different. I don't have this long recovery time once we get to the top of the hill, as I just have boundless energy now. Whereas, you know, with that RBBB, I was headed in a kind of a bad direction.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, anecdotally, I started wearing these a couple of months ago. I have been doing the maximize the light thing, but there's a hill round here that I'd not been up for about 6 months. And I remember what it was like last time I went up. And this time I literally I sprinted up it, and then I sprinted down it. And I got to the bottom and I was like, but I remember stopping 2 times on the way up 6 months ago. And I was like, what the hell was that? I feel like and
you're surprised that it's normal.
You don't necessarily notice it until you do something that's
like that
you can equate to and remember.
Right.
And just another anecdote is that my friend was in pain last week, and I gave her one stick on the neck. And the next day she said, that's weird, the pain's completely gone. Wow. And I was like, well, there's been no other change, you know. But Cheryl, you're a healer, and you use these patches. Do you want to tell us your story?
Yeah, well, I love network marketing. To me, those industries have so much more freedom to give you true products. That's why I love it. But these LifeWave patches have basically changed my life. I had started it like you, Mark. I thought, I'm going to try it first, you know, first month. But I had a huge lesion on my nose here for 2 years. and they were going to biopsy it for cancer. Within 3 weeks, it was totally gone. Never came back. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's something with these patches. So I have my husband on them. We take the X4939 every morning because it's just such an amazing difference.
Well, you can wear two at the same time?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Back here, yeah.
So you came out the Matrix twice.
Twice. I was so happy when you said that. That's how I felt when I first put it on. Plug me in. But my 84-year-old neighbor started it, and she came over to me crying because the doctor said that she's in the first stages of Alzheimer's. Her memory was going. She was just beside herself. And I said, Nancy, just do me a favor. Start on these patches. When you go back in 3 months, let's check again, see how you feel. So she did. 3 months later, she come over here, just gave me a big hug. She goes, I actually went up 12 points. I know more. I remember this. I'm telling my sister's telling the story, and I remember the whole story. She didn't. I was like, oh my God, she won't take them off now. She loves them. It's changing her whole life. It's amazing what they're doing.
Sorry, I mentioned them the other day on a show, and in the comments there were people going, I've been wearing them for 10 years. I'm never going back, and blah, blah, blah. You know, and I was like, whoa, there's really unsolicited testimonials from people in the comments, you know. And I from where I'm sat, over in the distance, I can see the roof of an old people's home. 90% of the this is a growth industry in this country.
Yeah,
old people's homes, right?
Yes,
and 90% of the people in there have got dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yep.
Yeah, and nobody seems to put two and two together because
right.
nobody. When I was a kid, my great grandparents, I remember them. They died in their 80s, and they were totally 100% cognitive, and that you just don't see that anymore.
No. Yep. And so she and her husband's on it. She has her sister on it. She got everybody of her friends on it because they couldn't believe the difference in her. And she's looking so much younger. She comes over here and works out in my sauna. She's 83. I was like, Nancy, you're doing phenomenal.
That is phenomenal.
Yeah, I love these patches.
We've experienced that with patients because that's what we do in my practice is brain. And we've had experiences like we'll give out 4 or 5 samples. And now some people are going to have a life-altering health benefit in a few days. I tell people don't expect that because if you don't have something you can measure, you're not going to notice anything. It's not a drug.
That's true.
But here's the other thing that the Ghk Copper Peptide does. It repairs 4,200 of our gene endings. So it resets them. And this is what I think happens is if you have a gene that's oxidized and can't work, and then all of a sudden it can work, and some function turns back on, I think that has a lot to do with it, why these dramatic things happen. But we'll have people like dad just sits and stares down at the ground and doesn't engage. And then a few days later, he's up engaging and talking to people. And then the wife rushes in and said, I need some more of those patches.
Yeah. Yep. And we have so many great patches. I wear the SP6 every day. My husband, I put it on his foot. I said, put your foot up there. I'm putting this on your foot. And he's like, what is it? You know, like 2 or 3 days later, he said to me, man, I just feel so much calmer. It helped his mood and him control. Was it for, isn't it for hormones?
SP6 is really good for endocrine issues. It's worn on the spleen 6 acupuncture point. It's also good as an appetite suppressant because it affects that regulation, our organ system so much.
I've just got this one that I've not opened yet.
That's the Alavita. That elevates the Fountain of Youth peptide. Get that on.
I'm going to stick them all over.
Now, see, that's a true man. More is better.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm definitely a man. Excuse me. I want to touch upon this MLM side of things because MLM, to me, I just want to explain this to the audience very simply. Network marketing, multi-level marketing has had bad press for half a century. And the reason it's had bad press for half a century is there's 2 reasons. Firstly, the powers that be know that is people-powered business, which means that they get cut out of the equation. That means that Google doesn't get any money, the papers don't get any, the TV doesn't get any money because the money gets shared amongst the people that spread the word. The companies that have been around the longest, like these guys been, LifeWave have been around over 20 years. They chose MLM because it's people powered and because the products speak for itself. That's why the company is so growing so fast. They actually make these in Ireland, don't they?
They do. Well,
Yeah.
we have distribution there, right, John?
We're the distribution center in Ireland. Yeah,
which is not far from me, and it's growing hugely. I think it's the biggest employer in the town down near Galway, which is good. And that's the first thing. The other thing is that there have been parallels drawn with pyramid selling, but pyramid selling is a completely different thing. And if you're watching this and you've been involved in any of the recent, because I noticed this throughout the pandemic when it started, there were people going, "Oh, get into this crypto thing. It's great. You make loads of money." And I went, "No, that's a pyramid scheme." And they were like, "How do you know?" Well, because I've been around in business for 35 years.
Right.
I can smell them a mile away. And now I'm getting messages from my friends who were begging me to and said, "It's brilliant. And they're drawing all this money out." I said, "No, because there's always a victim. There's always a victim in a pyramid scheme. And these pyramid schemes are all going bust right now. And I've got friends who are telling me they're in financial trouble, which is why I've never recommended any of those things, because if it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true." Yep. The thing with this is there's no victim. It's just that the money gets passed up. The money that, look, I've been in business for 30 years. I've been in marketing for almost as long. Every product has a percentage of money that is allocated towards marketing, because if you don't get the word out, then you don't sell the product. Okay. In the case of an MLM, that portion of money that normally is assigned to a big corporation is assigned to you, so that if you use this and benefit from it and want to share the knowledge and share that with other people that you know and your loved ones or whatever, then you get paid for sharing that knowledge, which to me is a very wise thing to do in the situation that we're in at the moment, when we're all being squeezed left, right, and center. With example, the fraudulent amount of money they want to take off me for getting a parcel delivered, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I'm a big. If you subscribe to this channel, you'll know, because of my maximized and monetized course, that I'm a big proponent of living as sovereign and as independently as you possibly can, and having multiple streams of income. Even if that income stream is $500 a month, then that's a bill paid. So I just wanted to say all that before you explain, Cheryl, a bit more about this business model, because you've been involved with this company for quite a while. So if you could share your experience on that side, that'd be good. And by the way, the first question I want to ask you is, you don't have to sell this product to consume this product, do you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Away you go.
Yeah, you could be a customer, and you could be a wholesale customer. You can get it wholesale pricing and everything. Just talk to the person that introduced you to it. But I've been doing networking for 25 years too. My biggest network company in first was Ideal Health. And you know who bought that company? Donald Trump. So I became part of the Trump network. So I met him numerous times. He's actually a really great guy, very down to earth.
Yeah.
And he knew that networking is a people business. And that's what he wanted. He wanted a people business. But that model, the people that were the head of it, they just took it to the ground. It was a shame, because it was a great company. So I've done so many since, but I never got excited about it as much as I did with LifeWave, because the ownership is high quality. He's a great guy. He is God driven. And that trickles down. The top is what trickles down to the whole company. So I believed a lot in him. And then the product is the perfect product. You can't what do I want to say? It's not like a medication that you have to prescribe. You put it on your body does the rest of the work. You don't have to worry about it. It's the perfect product. And so this model is great. It's a binary. You just have 4 people. You build, you help them build. The only way you're successful is if you help other people be successful. And that's why I love network marketing too.
Yeah. Could I say something to that as well, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Please do.
I started right when everything here in Idaho was shut down. And I thought, what a remarkable business where I can sit in my home office, send out texts to people and say, what do you know about stem cells? And that leads to meeting them in a parking lot, clandestine arrangement, and handing off some patches. Oh. And then either later that night or the next day, they're joining my business. And all of a sudden I thought, this is really interesting. I've worked my entire life and I have Social Security coming up. Really quickly, my little business I'm doing from my home office, not leaving my office except for my little trips to the parking lot at Kohl's and handing off some patches. That business is bringing in more per week than my Social Security check's going to be when I retire.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, isn't that remarkable when you cut out all of that corporate structure and give it to the people, and it disconnects you from restrictions and things that people want you to do. The boss wants to make you do this and do that, and you have to, all of that's gone. You are your own boss, you're in your own home, and you do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
You say, hey, honey, we're going to go over to Hawaii and work for a couple of weeks. How's that? Then you write it off. We're going to just go talk to people around the pool and tell them about LifeWave. Everybody's got something they need help with. Let's do that.
Let me patch it. Just give them, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even chiropractics earn good money, but you're still selling time for money.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And here's what taught me. I've had to reinvent myself twice. Once, when I expanded into oxidative medicine, and chiropractors had, for 30 years, we could do IV therapy and injections. And all of a sudden, the FDA changed the law, and all vitamins are now prescriptions. If you did give it in a shot or an injection or an IV,
Mm-hmm.
half of my practice went away. And then when I got that bone infection, I can't bend my wrist anymore. It was in my wrist. When you get osteomyelitis, your body's trying to die. And
Well,
so,
my son got prescribed with that last week.
Really? That's what it was.
Originally.
Wow.
That's why he went to hospital. That's why I went to get him out. It was a nightmare experience, but now he's okay because we had lots of help. But yeah, I mean, that's a very serious condition.
Yeah.
So I tell people, even if you're an MD, if you're DC, whoever, whatever you are, you have a medical practice, I can almost guarantee your retirement is not going to look exactly what you think about right now. Mm-hmm. Because there's too many variables. It's most likely not going to be what you think. And so it's a good thing to have a secondary income. Not only that, but what do you think $500 a month would mean for families right now?
Yeah.
With the gas prices and everything, it makes a difference. For the very first time, about a month ago, I've been in practice 32 years. I've never had anyone say this. I can't afford the gas to come in for my appointments. I have to stop for a while. Never heard that.
No, because it's never happened.
Yeah.
It's never
so
been.
Anyway, it's a good idea to have a secondary source of income. And this is a beautiful company. David Schmidt, the founder, I've never heard him talk about money ever.
Yeah.
We talk about helping people get their body where it can be the best it can be with energy and frequencies it's already making reflected back into your body. That's as simple as you can say it right there.
No, that's beautifully put. And the only reason I wanted to bring it up is because I'm going to be running a webinar on sovereign home-based businesses soon. If you're watching this, there's going to be a link below, and I'm going to go into why it's a very, very good idea to get involved with network marketing with good companies like LifeWave and how to do it properly.
Yeah.
But this is really about the health benefits of the product. So if you're not interested in doing that, think about the health benefits of these and trying them out. What if somebody wants to just try some out? What do they do, Cheryl?
That's a good question. I mean, you have to get their information. You can send them a free little sample in the mail if you want to. John, do you have any other ideas?
No, I can't do that because there's going to be hundreds of people doing that. So I'm talking about if they go to the link
go to your website.
If they go to the link on the screen, can they just buy a small amount of product to test out?
Well, no, you do have to do a month, at least a month.
Okay.
Yeah, so you do have to buy a 30-day supply. Now, they do have a great thing where if you buy 6 months in a row, each month they give you a tiny sample of each one. Each month they give you a new sample. At the end of 6 months, you get another X39 packet for free.
So that's like being in a wine club where they just mix up.
Yeah, they give you little things. My next door neighbor loved it. She tried every single one of them. She thought they were fantastic. So
Well, I think that's a great idea as well, because like John says, you need to give it a bit of time. I've given it about 3 months so far, and I wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't any good.
that's fantastic.
For you guys watching this, if you're watching this, there's a link on the screen. There's a link under the video as well. Just go and try them. That's what I'd say. Just go and try them and give them to some of your friends, especially if you know anybody that's older, where you can see the difference quickly, or somebody who's in pain, because that's what I did, and that's what really convinced me, because I'm generally in good shape. But I didn't really notice it until I started running up the hills. The same as John, and we didn't talk about that before, so I was quite pleased to hear that, John.
And Mark, if you have people contact you and have some like technical or science questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Well, did you say you had a slideshow that you with some technical stuff on? Do you want to go through that?
Yeah, I do.
That'd be great. And now's the science bit.
Here we go, boys and girls.
Oh, I can't wait.
Here's John with the science.
Let's see.
Yeah, share your screen and I'll pop it up.
I'm Chrome tab.
You see the share button at the bottom?
Yeah, it's not seen. Oh, there we go. Wonderful. Okay.
Cool. Here we go.
All right. This is one of the slides that I use, and probably everyone on this call, on this stream, is familiar with this, that everything, you see these wavelengths going through this human frame, sitting there, there are cell phone signals, the Wi-Fi, there are other frequencies going through you, but we don't feel them. But everything is, you know, if you look at disease, it's a form of disharmony. And they say down at the bottom that everything's affected by sound, music, and vibration, but they're all vibration. It's just a different form. And so this is what I was talking about earlier, bioluminescence. Japanese scientists figured it out that we glow. And so we emit these frequencies, and this is what David Schmidt harnessed. I was talking about Hawaii. I took this picture in Hawaii off of the Nepali coast. I want to point your attention way up at this top of this hill. I was looking for recordings of plants, and I found this. Now, this is at the top of that hill looking down to the ocean, and to kind of help you understand that everything is emitting frequencies. Well, researchers have figured out how to measure what it would sound like if we could hear the photons coming from plants. And anybody who's ever hugged a plant, I want to tell you right now, you've always been right.
Yeah.
So we're just going to listen to this little song produced by this plant sitting up at the top of the ridge overlooking the Nepali coast. I would be singing that song if I lived up there.
Wow.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
So, I mean, it's just, to me, it's just beautiful. And then I have more. Do you have time, Mark? There's a mushroom.
Yeah. This is my favorite. The lion's mane mushroom is one of my favorite plants.
This sounds like an alien talking to each other.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it is.
Oh my gosh.
The clanging.
Watch when he touches it.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. It like interfered with it.
What's that?
It like interfered with it.
Yeah. So then in the presentation I did here in Boise a couple of weeks ago, I talked about a little bit about Nikola Tesla and frequencies, but then
he's He's on my website. Look.
I love that.
So this guy is on the level of Nikola Tesla. That's David Schmidt right there. Here's another picture of him. He's the scientist and also the CEO. He's the sole owner of the company. There's no board that he has to please. He is full of light and he's full of these ideas he has about healing. We have some new things coming out at our annual convention in Florida coming up next month that are going to blow the socks off everybody. So I spoke about how he figured out how to utilize biophotons that we're already making. So let me get through to some of the science here. So
that's awesome.
So everybody knows about vitamin D. This will help. So here's a little diagram. You got sunlight, you have UVB light coming in, hitting your skin, and there's a reaction it causes between this, which is the precursor molecule, and it forms vitamin D3. Well, here's a question. Is there vitamin D3 in the air? Is there vitamin D3 in UV light? No. There's a signal. We have antennas on our skin that receive different frequencies. They're at the atomic level. But UV light stimulates those antennas, and now your body is signaled to make D3. So, well, that's the same thing that happens with the patches, is that there's a certain frequency reflected back by the patch that signals, with the X39, it signals your body to make more of that Ghk copper peptide, which then in turn turns on your stem cell factory.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So what actually happens? We place them on certain parts of the body. They're very small. That's true to size right there. This is a very important acupuncture point, as are these. This is
I'm not going to walk around one with just one on my head here. I'm not going to do that.
Oh, come on, Mark.
That's the one that's placed there is the either the Alavita.
Yeah.
Because that's the third eye, and I'm telling you, sleep is heavenly when you do that.
Well, could I wear one of these overnight?
You can wear any of them overnight. The only one that is really day or night, you would want to use the Alavita at night because it elevates melatonin.
You would. This would be the best.
So it's really good for sleep.
Cool. Okay.
So we place them on the body. Now, here's a little bit about that Ghk Copper Peptide. There's the reverse aging with ghk.com. Highly recommend you go to his website. And then he details the things that peptide does in our body. I spoke about this. Topped 1,309 bioactive compounds for treatment of human metastatic colon cancer. Do we treat cancer? No, we don't. None of this I'm saying is intended to, be a protocol or a regimen to treat anything or cure anything. But what we do is we help the body take care of business. That's it. Skin and hair. My hair used to be gray. It's turned it almost totally back to brown. Not as dark as I was when I was in my 50s, but definitely a lot more brown. Here's another right here. Oh, let me go back. Right here. Repaired damaged DNA at the cellular level. So that's what I was talking about. It resets the 4,200 of our genes. Look at this. Reprogrammed cell death. What is cancer? It's cells that can't die, that don't die. They just keep multiplying. The Ghk Copper Peptide resets that programmed cell death so that they'll die.
Yeah.
That's what it does. Lung protective, number one thing recommended to treat COPD. Antioxidant. Brain and nerves. This is why we use them in my practice. Decreased anxiety, increased neuronal function. And here we go, stem cells, activates your stem cells. But look at this. This is my first change that I started to notice was at about 2.5 months, I started seeing gut health improvements. So it increased the healing of skin, stomach, intestine lining, bone, rapid wound healing, collagen repair. So here's the really great thing, LifeWave obtained the patent in 2020, and it was I was in LifeWave about 4 months when they got the patent, and they had to prove to the U.S. Patent Office that wearing the patch elevates that Ghk copper peptide. So that's why we have the patent on this technology. Mark was talking about how some people just say it's just some sugar in a little Band-Aid. I assure you, it's very, very specific, and it reflects a very specific frequency back, or we would not have gotten the patent from the U.S. Patent Office.
And you wouldn't be in business this long.
No. So just a couple of things that it does. The way this was even discovered, Dr. Lauren Picard, in 1973, they put old liver cells in a petri dish and then put the Ghk copper peptide in there. It actually reversed the age of the liver cells, and they started making enzymes and proteins like young liver cells. And they said, there must be something to this. And that's where it all started. So you get rapid wound healing, but look at this, collagen repair and collagen destruction. So I ask a question, why would you want to destroy collagen?
Yeah.
That would be for scar tissue that you don't need anymore.
Oh.
So it helps scars return more to more normal skin. Excuse me. And in a second, I have a slide, I'll warn you. So here's where it resets genes to a younger state. I think the next slide, if you have a weak stomach, you want to turn away for a second. Yeah. So collagen destruction. Let's talk about this. This is a friend of mine's brother. He had this for 8 years, constant pain. The doctors couldn't even tell him what it was. They said, well, it's kind of like a lipoma. They wouldn't cut it out. It's too dangerous. But here's what happened. It had to open up. It had to destroy the capsule that was around it. Then it oozed out, and then it healed. There's your collagen destruction.
Wow.
Athletes all over the world. You see this football player from the Chicago Bears. He's got one. We wear the X39, 3 finger widths below the belly button. That's one spot. Here's a guy who has the Nirvana patch for anxiety. I would be anxious too if I was a motocross racer. This guy has the energy enhancers on his arms. This guy has one down on his calf. This power lifter, probably energy enhancers. And I mentioned our U.S. Olympic swim team. They were accused of doping by the world and USA doping agencies and investigated, and they found no doping. David Beckham wearing the energy enhancers. There were over 300 athletes at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing who used the patches. This, I'm actually friends with this gal on the left, Mandy. I have another picture of her. So she went through this metamorphosis over a year where she looked really old. Look at her hair up there. And then it turned like that. Hair regrowth, hair turning brown. That's what happened to me. Wound healing and just
John, was that just from the X39 or was there a specific one?
Just from the X39.
Yeah.
Good, because
I have another picture of this right here. This fingertip actually died and then regenerated. This is my wheelhouse. Here's a picture. It's hard to see, but it shows a herniated disc right there. And then the disc healed. Dr. Lauren Picard actually, he sells Ghk Copper Peptide. And they inject the Ghk just subcutaneous, like clear out on the skin for herniated discs, and they heal the discs like that. Here's Mandy. This is what she really looks like now.
Wow.
I mean, she looks 20 years younger, I think. Somebody in Asia posted this.
That's funny.
Here's another one. Hair regrowth.
Now that's the one I want.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to shut my door. Hold on one second.
I know. I kept telling Mark, get on this patch. Get your hair back.
Oh, you did. I know. But I am noticing that it is not. It's slowed down.
It's not losing it anymore.
My hair has gotten brown and so thick. I'm just really pleased. The story behind this, the fingertip was cut off in a car door. The dad begged the surgeon not to just sew a flap over it, a skin graft. The surgeon said, it's going to die. He said, I have the stem cell activation patch. It died. That's what the black is. That's the necrosis. But the GHK rapidly repairs and helps stimulate the growth of the capillaries. So it revascularized, and then he had a normal fingertip.
Wow.
That is cool.
And here's why I use him in my practice. 6-week brain study showed better cognition and coherence. Coherence is a measurement of how well the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain are acting independent, because different things happen on the right and left side of the brain. Truly, everything we do is processed by the entire brain, but every single thing we do is processed 80% on one side and 20 on the other. When the brain gets it's having trouble, they will recruit each other to try to process something and say, hey, I'm not doing this very well. Could you help me? And now you have the entire brain processing one thing at a time. Processing gets really slowed. And that's why I said the more someone has of what's called hypercoherence, the more autistic they are. Wearing the X39, increase in the GHK, gave them much less hypercoherence and much better cognition after that 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So then I talk about my return to health. And so these are changes that I've experienced. At 2.5 months, improved gut health. Hair growing back to brown at 4.5 months. No more PVCs, preventricular contraction, at 5 months. Right bundle branch block gone. Unknown when it exactly happened, but it showed on the test on March of this year. Here's me before and here's me after.
Oh,
wow.
So when I say they are truly age reversal in nature, I'm not making this stuff up. I've seen it in myself, and
It looks like your dad over there.
I know, like some of my classmates I'm going to see next month.
Wow.
And they're going to come up and say, yo, John, what's going on? What you've been doing? I'm just going to say, I've just been doing some reverse aging things with stem cells.
It's simple. It's easy.
Yeah, it's just simple. Here's how my hair turned back to brown. It started from back to front. So it was still gray all along the front, but brown. I don't know what the deal was with the front of my hair, but it was a little slower. And here's, so there was a six-week organ function study done. By the way, LifeWave is very research oriented. It's not just anecdotal stories. David Schmidt is a scientist. There's over 90 studies that have been done. There's one that's coming out next month that shows that the X49 reversed bone density loss. So those of you who have osteoporosis, X49 is really good for that. Mm-hmm. So after 6 weeks of using the X39, everyone's cardiovascular system, they say acted, meaning age reversal, acted 2 months younger. So I did the math on that. And ironically, when I first started using these, I was kind of drawn to this study, and I talked about it a lot. So for every day you wear the patch, the cardiovascular system gets a day and a third younger. That played out for me. I no longer have that RBBB. So I had PVCs my entire life. I didn't know I had that right bundle branch block. Right bundle branch block has to do with the conductivity to the right ventricle that pumps blood to the lungs. Look at this. Prognostic significance of right bundle branch block for patients with acute myocardial infarction. So here's this study that was done. This is on PubMed. The bottom line here, RBBB was associated with significantly increased overall mortality in patients with AMI, but considerable increase all-cause mortality and morbidity with RBBB. And here's the message I got from my doctor on, it's called My Chart. Dr. Ryder, he's the cardiologist, has reviewed your nuclear test results and is pleased to report that everything looks great. Your study was normal with no issues noted. Bada bing, bada boom.
Boom, yeah.
How about let us know how you did it?
How did I do it?
No, that at the bottom they say, "Let us know how you're doing."
Oh, they don't care. They don't want to know.
don't care.
Well, I have the actual narrative report.
Yeah,
I just haven't made that slide yet. So I asked people in my first slide. It's Dorothy. It's Glinda the Good Witch talking to her and said, "Oh, Dorothy, you don't need any help. You've had the power all along. You just had to find it out for yourself."
That's right.
So I call that my own backyard. With LifeWave, you don't need to go down to the drugstore on the corner because you already are making the energy that the patch utilizes and captures and reflects back into you. So that is healthcare to me. This is not. It's not sick care like our system is.
Yeah, well, that's an amazing presentation, and yeah, I love it. I love it. Cheryl, you heal people as well. Do you want to tell people about what you do and your experience with people with this outside of what in your own family?
Yeah, what I do is my company is called BAM, which means Beyond All Measures, but I heal your body, mind, and your spirit. I don't feel I can get you physically fit without healing your mind and your spirit all together. So I get people in here and I get them in the sauna. Then they come in once a week for a consult, which we do recoding to recode their thought processes about they're the actual creators. So what are you choosing to create here? So we go through all that. And then when I found the LifeWave, it was like a no-brainer. It was like, I said, "Oh, I found this really cool patch. I'm going to patch you." I patched every single person that came in. I'm like, "You just put this on, try it for a week. Let me know what you think." Every single person signed up because they just couldn't believe that a little patch could do that.
Well, why? They've all been trained to believe a little pill can do amazing things.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So, I mean, as far as healing goes, like any healer, you have to heal the whole body. You have to heal the whole person as a whole. You just can't do part of it. And LifeWave just seemed to be such a natural fit because it's their own body healing themselves. So my goal in life is to see somebody, like I coached gymnastics for 25 years. I loved when my kids learn a trick and they can do it on their own. Okay, you got this. This is yours now, right? It's not up to me. And that's what I love about teaching people this. This is yours now. This is your body. You got this. It's all up to you now. It's not me. So I love this product. It's just incredible what it's doing.
Yeah, well, I'm going to stick these on my kids because after what I went through in the hospital last week, I don't want any of my family going anywhere near a hospital.
No.
Right.
Until we're through this.
Yep.
Because it ain't good.
Sometimes the hospital is the most dangerous place you can be.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody I've ever known gone in never came out.
That's right. And my son's really fighting this tendency he wants to drink. He's 36 and he's like in that, do you want to grow up or are you just going to keep, he puts the glutathione patch on and he says it's amazing the difference it makes.
The glutathione?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, do you have a minute for me to say a word about glutathione?
Absolutely. I love that.
Glutathione, the level of glutathione you have in your cells is directly related to your lifespan.
Whoa.
Let me repeat that.
I didn't know that.
Directly related to your lifespan. Here's why. It's the master mothership of electrons.
Wow.
So you have vitamin C and vitamin E are antioxidants. Well, what does that mean? It means when we have electrons stolen somewhere through oxidative stress, ionizing radiation, whatever it is, it's vitamin A and vitamin C and vitamin E that put those back. But so does glutathione. But here's the thing. Glutathione is the mothership. Vitamin C and vitamin E are the truckers. They come back to glutathione and get more electrons and they keep going. Otherwise, they're one and done. One and done. So if you have ample glutathione, this antioxidant function just continues and continues and continues. We have a lot of glutathione in our structures of our eye, our lens. People say, yeah, sunlight causes cataracts. Does it really? Is it The sun, or is it a lack of glutathione? Because the lens absorbs the UV light so it doesn't hit your retina. It's protecting the retina, but if you can't put the electrons back so that your cells can live in your lens, then you get cataracts. In my opinion, I don't have a scientific study, but I like things that make sense.
Yeah.
So the reason most people have not heard of glutathione is because researchers couldn't figure out how to get it past the acid in your stomach until recently. And so it was an IV, and it was very expensive, and it smells like sewer, a lot of sulfur. So you can't go down the aisle in Costco and buy glutathione.
Yeah.
So there are companies that they have a liposomal form or sublingual spray now particleized, and they brag that it raises your glutathione level 10%. Our glutathione patch raises your glutathione level 300% within 24 hours.
Really?
How huge is that?
You gotta start wearing that thing.
I wear one almost every day. Not every day, because it raises it 300%. I give myself a day off. But glutathione X39, X49, man, that's a shield. X49 blocks 5G. When I say shield, I'm talking about a shield.
Well, that's really interesting, because I saw the video of David talking about that, and what I understood from it is that his X49 kind of creates a Faraday cage around you.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you think it elevates a copper peptide, so the X39 probably does some of that too. I've done the testing on the X49. But what do they use for Faraday cages? Copper. Mm-hmm. So if you have all of this copper peptide, which is we normally should have, but this elevates it up to the normal, and then it blocks 5G. Or other EMFs as well, because you have Faraday cage. Here's my opinion. I don't think we're going to stop 5G. I don't think anybody has enough money to fight Verizon and whoever you have over there and get them to take the 5G towers down, but you just best protect yourself and your family.
Look, my show is all about pragmatism, right? So I'm an optimist. I think great things are coming, but in the meantime, you have to be pragmatic. There's a lot of people out there that are waiting for med beds. There's a lot of people out there waiting for the price of silver to go up. There's a lot of people out there waiting. And I'm like, look, that's jammed tomorrow. We've got to deal with what's here today.
Yeah.
And that's why I do put a lot of solutions-led stuff on here, as well as talking about other things. But I love that, and that made complete sense to me. I mean, I just bought a mini Faraday cage for my car keys, for example.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, because they can just come and tap into the frequency and steal your car. You wouldn't even know it.
No.
So it makes complete sense with the human body as well, because we've been depleted of all these things.
Yes.
Because there's less, the animals that there's less stuff in the soil. The animals are being pumped with God knows what. That's what it's all about. It's like survival mode, but thriving as well. And that's what I like about this sort of thing. And you guys have given I'm really grateful for the time you've given today for this. You guys watching this, do your own research. If you don't believe any of us, do your own research. Go and have a look at the website. The link's on the screen. It's below there. You don't have to do this as a business, but if you want to, I'm running a webinar, and there'll be a sign up for that, which is all about how to use multi-level marketing and create multiple streams of income for yourself, which it can make such a difference in your life. It's ridiculous, especially if you're aligned with things like this that actually help people. Mm-hmm. This is not Tupperware. This is not what was I thinking? This is actually really, really, really useful. I don't, and I feel I can't wait to stick these on my mum. I'm going to go and see her soon.
Oh, I was going to say that would be great.
Yeah, definitely.
She's fighting because she had chemo 10 years ago, and I've helped her recover from that. But it's a battle.
Yes.
Mark.
Yeah.
I didn't mention glutathione is a large molecule, and it's really good for detox. So antioxidant, but also a great detoxer. So keep that in mind for your mom.
So is this why Cheryl is good? If you want to drink booze, you can just put the glutathione on.
Exactly. 10 minutes.
Yeah. Actually, when you talked about the wine club, I said we're a member of a wine club.
Well, listen, if anybody, I'm in Ireland, so if I go to the pub and tell everybody you can drink more with this, you'll be fine. That's how to pitch this.
That's called huge residual income, Mark.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, we're gonna be bombarded.
That's how to sell it to the Irish. Just say you can drink more and you'll feel good in the morning. Everybody
Yeah.
Idea. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you for sharing your experience, your knowledge, and everything else. And guys watching this, give it a try.
Yeah.
Just give it a try. That's what I did. Be skeptical, because the only way of truly knowing is trying it yourself. So,
and when you try it, make sure that everybody's different.
Yeah.
My first changes came at 2.5 months because I didn't have anything that changed that I was measuring.
Yeah.
And so then, but my gut health, I have a lifetime of gut issues. My gut health started to change at about 2.5 months. And everybody's different. You may be one of the person, your right foot grows back in 4 days. I'm exaggerating, but it'd be like life changing.
How did you know that my right foot was missing?
I had a nurse. Sometimes people tell me things. I think you have to have dreamt that, because this can't be possible. This nurse who retired from nursing because she had MS, she said after 5 days on the patches, I was doing wall squats and walking without my walker.
Oh.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
Yet for me, my big changes came over a long period of time.
Yeah.
Everybody's different, like you say.
Yeah.
But there's just tons of information out there on this. Go and look at the CEO, look at some of his stuff. Just get your hands on some and try it if you can. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you're really, 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 really broke, send me an email and I'll send you a couple in the post, but only 10 people. Because if I get 1,000 people, I won't have time to do it, is what I mean. It's not that I'm not generous to do that. I would do that. But thank you for sharing that today. And it'd be great if any of you guys watching do get these. It might be good to have a round table in 6 weeks or something with these guys, maybe, so we could share our experiences and talk about them a bit more. Because
that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
It's always great to hear from real people with real results rather than some sales pitch.
That's right.
Yeah. So anything to say goodbye. Thank you, Dr. John.
It was a lot of fun, Mark. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'd love to see you. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day in the States. I'm going out to the pub now. See you later.
Yay!
I'm going to go and sell the glutathione.
See you later.
Bye. Thanks.